Good evening, everybody. Uh, Welcome to the March 12th, 2024 meeting of the Westminster City Planning Commission. Anyone who wants to speak on either of the items on the agenda tonight, please sign up in the back of the room. There's a sign-up sheet there. So will Mr. Gurman please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Commissioner Carpenter,
Present.
Commissioner Colling,
Present.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Mayo,
Here.
Commissioner Tomachek,
Excused.
Commissioner Boschert,
Excused.
Commissioner Zhang.
Present.
Great. We have a quorum present, and all members present will be voting. Next item on the agenda is consideration of minutes from the February 27th Planning Commission meeting. May I have a motion and a second, please? Commissioner Mayo?
I move we approve the minutes.
Great. Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Dunn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign? All right, motion passes. So now we have two items on the agenda tonight. Item 3A, public hearing and action on a requested setback variance for an accessory building. And item 3B, public hearing and recommendation on a rezoning preliminary development plan and official development plan for Wilson subdivision, Block 2, lots 1 and 2. I hereby open the public hearing for item 3A, the setback variance. Mr. Kaza, will you please begin your presentation?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jacob Kaza. I'm a senior planner with the city's planning division. A staff agenda memo has been created and tonight's public hearing has been properly noticed. The agenda memo, its attachments, this presentation, the public notices in the Westminster window, the mailed notices, and the posted notices are hereby entered into the public record. The notices of the public hearing were mailed to 112 property owners and occupant addresses within 300 feet of the parcel under consideration tonight. The city has also posted the hearing date and time on its website. Here's a map showing the location of the subject property outlined in red. It is located at 3605 West 76th Avenue. The applicant requests a variance for a 2-foot 8-inch encroachment into the side setback and a 2-foot 4-inch encroachment into the rear setback for an accessory structure. Section 1146 in 5B of the Westminster Municipal Code requires a 5-foot side and rear setback for all accessory structures in the RA zoning district. Section 228 of the Westminster Municipal Code provides 6 requirements that all must be met to grant a variance. Several examples of these criteria are that the lot has unusual characteristics, the applicant did not create the special conditions and circumstances, and that the variance will not alter the character of the neighborhood. For those specific criteria, the lot is smaller in size than the requirements for the RA zoning district, the applicant did not create the special conditions, and the variance will not alter the character of the neighborhood. Staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and approve the variance, and the applicant is with us tonight and has a presentation to share with you as well.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Kaza. The applicant, please step forward to the podium and you can begin your presentation. It doesn't sound like it. Is there a red button there? Oh, now I hear it.
Like it is. Anyway, Chairman Carpenter, Planning Commissioners, thank you for having us this evening. Jacob, thank you for the introduction. We provided kind of a lengthy presentation, but I did see that staff does recommend approval, so I just thought I'd highlight some of what we'd like. As Jacob mentioned, we would like to request a variance so that we can build a garage to replace our current garage just in the same place that our current garage exists. When we look at the zoning and we try to comply with the zoning, essentially all the scenarios we look at, it's a hardship to replace the garage and follow the zoning. Okay, this is the start. So Jacob, if you can just go to the third slide. Here we go. The only reason I wanted to talk about this is we submitted to the city per all the requirements. The planning staff reviewed our submittal, provided comments. We simply responded to all of their comments. So we've had that process. We've been back and forth with the staff. If we continue to kind of the blow up, so maybe the fifth, there we go, right there. This is just an enlarged plan of what we want to do. We want to replace our existing garage with a new one that sits in the same spot. You can see from this enlarged plan that the roof of the new garage is very close to that of the existing residence. There is overhang there, but that distance between the wall of the garage and the house is about 3 feet. And that's what we have today. We want to maintain that so that we can access the backyard without having to go all the way around the garage. So setbacks are 5 foot on the side and rear for an accessory structure. We want to be about 2'4" on one side and 2'8" on the other. I guess the most important thing is, in order to be granted a variance, we have to be able to answer yes to 6 questions that show up in section 2.2.8 of the Westminster Municipal Code. If we go to that first question, next page, right there. We took every question and just answered it verbatim. Is it a hardship if we impose the zoning on this project? So we went through all 6. We believe we've answered yes to all 6. And so without having to go through all 6 questions, what I thought would be most illustrative for you folks is just to show you 6 scenarios that we looked at. What if we did this? What if we did this? And so we looked at 6 different options to build a new garage, essentially the same size as our existing. And you'll see how no matter what scenario we do, it just doesn't work, and it essentially degrades the functionality that we have now. So I'm going to start on the left side of this page. Scenario 1. Scenario 1 is where we build the exact same footprint of garage, but we follow the zoning. So we have a 5-foot setback on the side and the rear here. And you can see it just runs into the house. So we couldn't build the same size structure in essentially the same location and follow the zoning. Scenario 2 to the right here, that's where, let's follow the zoning and let's keep the same arrangement that we have with respect to space between the house and the accessory structure. And so it shrinks the garage to a point where you'll see a dashed rectangle inside the garage. That's the size of a standard parking stall, 9 by 18. We can't fit the garage. We can't fit a car in a reduced size structure. So those are a couple scenarios. We have just a few more. Scenario 3 is where we said, what if we looked at an addition to the back of the house and just made a hard right turn into the garage? In this scenario, because it's part of the main primary structure now, we can't meet the 20-foot setback for the primary structure because it's connected to the house. So then we just say, well, what if we do it in the backyard? This is scenario 4. We build a detached structure in the backyard. We follow the 5-foot setback. Well, now we lose our backyard, and we have just a very sliver of space between the house and the garage. We have a door in that location and some other stuff, so even though we're not directly against the house, we still lose that functionality. And then the final 2 scenarios here, scenario 5 and 6. Scenario 5 is where we just looked at what if we had an addition, to the house, essentially where the garage is now. We still can't meet the side setback on the west side. If we did that, then we thought, well, what if we added to the front? We do a footprint essentially that's the same as what we have now, and now we can't meet the front setback. So, we're just in a situation where we'd love to tear down our garage. I wish I had a picture of it. That's the only thing I regret not having in this slideshow is just a picture of our garage. It's old, it's dilapidated. We want to replace it. We'd like to just put the same size structure in the same spot. And so that's our request this evening.
Great. Thank you very much. Do any commissioners have questions for either the applicant or staff? Commissioner Calling.
Thank you. I do have a question for you, a couple questions. Is the current garage, does it have a living space on the second level?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so it's just a garage unit.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the proposed garage, is there on your adjacent property, do they have a structure close to this garage? I'm trying to determine, because typically setbacks are to protect homes for all kinds of reasons. Utilities usually go in those setbacks, or you want to have a certain distance between buildings so that you don't have to worry about fire danger in terms of fire jumping from one building to the next. And so oftentimes that setback is I'm curious, how close is this building to any adjacent structure on the adjacent lot?
Yeah, good question. So to the north of us, no structures. We're on the far west side of the property with our garage, so the east neighbor to the east is pretty far away. The neighbor to the west, I don't know the exact dimension, but approximately 10 feet, maybe more, but 10 feet from the garage to the structure. But because we're closer than 5 feet to the property line, you know, if we are approved to do this, eventually we have to submit for permit through building department, and to address the issue that you say, they will require that wall that's that close to the property line be rated.
Okay, so that's what was
wall,
my
and
next
so
question.
we would have to comply with.
Okay, so you will be less than 10 feet from the adjacent property structure.
I think we'll
Wall
be
to wall.
more than 10 feet from the adjacent structure, but we'll just be so close to the property line that the building department will make us rate that wall
Okay.
regardless.
Got it. Okay, well, that helps a lot.
Yes,
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What about utilities? Talk to me a little bit about how you dealt with utilities, because typically you have utility lines run in those side yards and rear yards.
Yeah.
Did you have any issues with that?
Yeah, so we have overhead power. We have an existing Excel power pole that sits at the southwest corner of our existing garage. And the power comes from a pole that's on the Baptist church property that's north of our north neighbor. you know.
Okay.
So it comes across the north neighbor's backyard and to the power pole, and then eventually it feeds to a mast on our house. So we met with Excel. They came out to the job site, and we explained to them what we want to do. And the first thing that we know is we don't have any easements on our site, and we've confirmed that. But what we're going to do is, if we're allowed to build the new garage, on the back side of that structure, we'll have a mast that the overhead power comes to, and it'll serve the garage and a panel in the garage. From that point, we go underground and come back to the house and backfeed the primary residence.
Okay, so it's one connection for the whole, both units. Got it.
And then Excel, when we would do that, they would remove that pole that's at the southwest corner of the garage. And so what they conveyed to us is, you know, it would take several months, so we've got to get on their list to get this done, but it would cost about $600. But that was a strategy that they felt was viable.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. That's good you've done your homework on that.
Mm-hmm.
The next question I have to do has to do with, is this an ADU? Is this considered an ADU?
No.
No.
No, the city is not considered an ADU.
Okay.
Yeah. We would have to have a second
Kitchen.
kitchen.
That's what I thought, yeah.
And that's not at all what we're looking for. We know that they're not allowed.
Yeah.
You know, we'd like to have a bonus room, call it what you will, but
Oh, that was my
it won't have a
question.
kitchen. But we would like to have a restroom in it, the ability to do crafts, service sink, stuff like that.
Put a teenager in. That's a good use for that space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So
Or
it's not. It's
a
not.
29-year-old.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Yeah, I got one of those too. So, so it's not. It would never be considered an ADU. So he couldn't rent it out as a separate space or anything like that because there's no kitchen.
No
Got it.
separate address. no-
Okay.
yeah.
It's all the same. Okay. I think that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the commission at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to open the public hearing. First, I'll ask Mr. Gurman, do we have any emails or voicemails on this topic?
No, sir. No emails or voicemails have been received.
Okay, great. So those who wish to get,
Sorry. Also, we have no one who signed up.
no one signed up?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Well, anyone who wants to speak on the topic, feel free to come up. Seeing, going once, going twice. All right, then I will close the public hearing. And I will call on Commissioner Collins, she has another question for staff or for the
I
applicant.
apologize, and this, maybe I didn't catch this. Adjacent property owners, have they been, has this been reviewed with your property owner? And your neighbors are good with this and no issues? I'm sorry, I should have asked you this when you were up.
Yeah, please speak into the mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've definitely spoke at length with our neighbors about what we want to do. They certainly received letters as well, and we've had a sign out in front of our yard for the last 10 days.
Okay.
But yeah, no objections from the neighbors at this
So
point.
plenty of opportunity for people to speak up if they didn't agree with this?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? And if not, I will entertain a motion. Look for the language. All
I
right, Commissioner
apologize.
Colling.
Yes, I would like to move that the planning commission approve a setback variance for an accessory building at 3605 West 76th Avenue. The approval is based on the findings that the variance is supported by the criteria set forth in section 2-2-8B of the Westminster Municipal Code.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Mayo. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. German.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Carpenter,
Aye.
Commissioner Colling,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayo,
Yes.
Commissioner Zhang.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Easy for me to say. Thank you very much to the applicant, and I'm sure you will speak with staff for next steps. Does anyone need a break before our next hearing item on the commission? You guys good? All right. Then we will move on to the next public hearing. Yes, good luck. Next public hearing, I'm opening item 3B, public hearing and recommendation on rezoning, preliminary development plan, and official development plan for Wilson subdivision, Block 2, lots 1 and 2. I'll stall until Mr. Lawrence is prepared to give his presentation.
Thank you and good evening, Commissioners. My name is Nathan Lawrence, Senior Planner with the City's Planning Division. A staff agenda memo has been created and tonight's public hearing has been properly noticed. The agenda memo, tonight's presentation, newspaper notice, certification of mailed notice, and posted notices are hereby entered into the public record. 3699 West 73rd Avenue planned unit development is located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Wilson Court and West 73rd Avenue, addressed at 3699 West 73rd Avenue. Approval of the rezoning, preliminary development plan, and official development plan would allow for the adaptive reuse of the existing office building to create 8 multifamily units and 500 square feet of commercial space on the 0.17 acre property. The project features vehicular and parking access from Wilson Court and direct pedestrian access from West 73rd Avenue. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from B1 business to planned unit development. The proposed land uses, including multifamily, comply with the property's comprehensive plan designation of mixed-use neighborhood. The project will be well integrated into the existing transportation networks and should function as an effective infill project. 2 exceptions are being requested from the traditional mixed-use neighborhood development design guidelines, reflecting the limits of reusing an existing building. To fit the minimum number of required parking spaces, the applicant is requesting to allow for compact spaces. And the second exception is to waive the requirement for covered or garaged parking. That type of parking is not typical in this area, and garage parking is not really an option given the site size. Staff has found that the ODP is in conformance with all city codes, ordinances, and policies. The two-story height of the building and setbacks are in keeping with the surrounding buildings and residential development. A maximum amount of impervious surface has been removed while still allowing for the required minimum off-street parking, and new landscaped areas will be planted with low-water plantings. A traffic study and utility study were reviewed by staff, and existing infrastructure can support the proposed project. Staff recommends holding a public hearing to review the proposed rezoning, preliminary development plan, and official development plan, and that the Planning Commission recommend approval with the finding that they meet the criteria set forth in sections 11.514 and 11.515 of the Westminster Code. The city's strategic plan priority of shared sense of community is met through the proposed development's provision of 8 new units of housing and 500 square feet of commercial space that will be integrated into the surrounding community. The applicant is here tonight and has a presentation to share with you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Will the applicant and his team come up and make their presentation, please?
Hi, Dennis McLinn. I'm part of the ownership group. This is our architect, Owen Beard. I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Owen Beard. I'm with Solid Architectural Design.
First of all, thank you, Planning Commission, and thank you, Nathan, for all your help through this process. It's not been easy, but we believe it's a small project with probably a very large impact on an area that I believe Westminster's been working on for a considerable amount of time. I think Nathan did a great job kind of outlining what the project was. I did want to go on record. We met with some of the neighbors in some meetings, and I just wanted to reiterate our commitment to them to create a commercial space on the ground floor. There was some concern about the asbestos paint, and I can assure them that we will go through every process to make sure that this building is taken care of like it should be, in a manner that it should be. Part of our team are environmentalists. They're environmental companies, so I just wanted to reassure one of our neighbors that we will take care of it and answer any questions you guys might have. I'll give them a quick rundown. Basically, this is the adaptive reuse of an existing office building built in 1964. The building itself is about 4,900 square feet. We're going to create 8 boutique apartment units, about 500 square feet each, and they will be market rate, $250 to $350, $335 per square foot, so no rental concessions or any kind of affordable component on this project. Our commercial space is a little bit under 600 square feet, and we talked to the neighbors. Their concerns or their wish list included a place to gather, a restaurant, maybe a bar, and that's the direction that we're going to pursue. Anything else on?
Yeah, I think what we are actually proposing in this, you can kind of see this from our utility plan, is that we're actually putting in the infrastructure for some sort of coffee shop or somebody said wine bar or something like that, in case a future tenant does actually use it for food, some sort of food service. And then there's also the option, because since it's there, they can do that. And there's the option of actually using it as some other rental. But I think that the important thing about this project is that it's taking a building that has been derelict from quite some time, from what I understand, and turning it into a residential project, which I think is actually more agreeable for the development to the north. And I think that getting more people, particularly in what will end up being this demographic, young, vibrant people in a really good, walkable community, I think is a really strong strong point for this project. And I think reusing rather than tearing down and landfilling existing structures is an environmentally responsible idea.
Thank you. Does that complete your presentation?
That does, and yeah.
Okay, great. And any questions from the Planning Commission? Commissioner Mayo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the concept of a potential restaurant down there that you're preparing the space for, are you actually going to put the hood and everything in?
We will put the grease trap in because we're going to do some site work on it. And if we do get a restaurant, we would do the TI on that as well.
Okay,
So we do plan to put in the grease trap.
okay, because that'd be tough to put in
Afterwards.
later if you have 8
There's also
tenants
gonna
in
be a
there.
handicap restroom in that spot, so
Okay,
somebody can just move in, put their hood in, and go for it.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner Zhang.
This question's for Nathan. With the potential of the site becoming residential and then a potential bar or coffee shop or restaurant, I know I'm looking at the thing that says there won't be impact on traffic. Will there be any impact on traffic? I know in the document it says there's not, but I just want to have that on record.
Yeah, a traffic letter was submitted as part of this application, and our traffic engineer found that it meets all, that there won't be significant impacts in order that would trigger any kind of warrant to do any improvements other than what's shown on site.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, just on the parking side. I assume there'll be parking for the residents and for the guests of whatever business may come in there. Are there going to be designated spaces for the guests of the coffee shop, bar, or whatever it ends up being, restaurant?
I think we have 13 total parking spaces. Most of those are off-site, so that we're providing those to the residential tenants.
Off-street.
Off-street, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. He helps me with the hard stuff. So, yeah, we do plan to assign those parking spots to the residences, and whatever company ends up being down there will have the remainder, and the off-street or the on-street parking as well.
Okay. Great. Any other questions from the commission? Commissioner Colling?
Thank you. It's interesting that it's a mixed-use project, going from non-residential to residential. I'm just curious for your thought process to why to include commercial. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just curious for why not just make it all residential?
Well, I can tell you it'd be a lot easier if I let it all be residential. Definitely easier.
Okay.
We are in the business of making places. If you look at our previous developments in Sunnyside and Lodi, you'll see that we're not your typical developer that's just going to put a bunch of units on something and not give any amenities. A neighborhood was brought to our attention probably 4 years ago, and it's our understanding that Westminster is trying to activate this area, and I don't think you can activate it by just putting places to live. I think you have to bring some commerce in, and we like to be part of that solution.
I like your answer. Thank you for that. And did you say these are rental or for sale?
For rent.
For rent, okay. And do you already have a tenant in mind for the commercial?
We have some ideas, but it's a small space, so it's very specialized. Once we get approval, we'll hit it full steam.
Sure, okay. And the building was originally constructed as non-residential, which is a different building materials that are used than for residential. Does that require you to adapt it, or I'm not that familiar with that process? Is there changes you would have to? I mean, obviously you have to get rid of some of the toxic things you've talked about, but
Yeah.
besides that, just the structure.
Yeah, there will be an abatement during the renovation project. Part of the project, the building is actually made with concrete block and structural tees. which is a concrete floor on the first and second floor, and then mysteriously has a wooden roof. And so we will have to fireproof the roof, and it will have to be sprinkled to compensate for that. So yeah.
Interesting.
So there will be, actually almost all of a lot of the interior walls will all be fire separation type of walls. We're going to spend a huge amount of time on exiting and things like that.
Well, good luck with your project. You've got your work cut out for you. Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to open the public testimony. Thank you. The applicant team can sit down for the moment. Mr. Gurman, do we have any voicemails or emails on this project?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do not have any voicemails or emails, but we do have 7 people signed up to sign, 2 of which just finished their presentation.
Wonderful. All right. Well,
Signed up to speak. I
Yeah.
don't know if I said that right.
Signed up to speak. Exactly. So individuals signed up to speak have up to 5 minutes per speaker, so please have your comments prepared. When possible, if your comments have already been stated by another speaker, please approach the podium and state that you agree with the previous speaker rather than restating the same comments or concerns. And also, please refrain from applauding this time. Mr. Gurman, would you please call our first speaker, and we will start.
Martin Eckers, or Eckert.
Hi, I'm Martin Eckert. I agree with the comments.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Go ahead.
Next speaker, Brent Scarborough. Next speaker is Darlene M. Okay, that takes us to the last speaker, Lindsay Fritchell.
All right.
And once Lindsay speaks, sir, that will be all.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Fritchell. I live at the property northwest of where this is being renovated. I do like the idea of the property coming in and hopefully bringing a small business or somewhere that we can hang out. My only concern is, like you, with the parking with the mixed use in the area. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone who did not sign up to speak who does wish to speak? All right. And I will close the public testimony on that. Does any of the commissioners have any further questions for the staff or applicant at this time? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and we can call for a motion and have some discussion. Commissioner Mayo.
I move that the Planning Commission recommend the City Council approve the rezoning, preliminary development plan and official development plan for Wilson subdivision, Block 2, Lots 1 and 2, planned unit development. This recommendation is based on a finding that the rezoning, preliminary development plan, and official development plan are generally supported by the criteria set forth in Section 11-5-14 and 11-5-15 of the Westminster Municipal Code.
Great. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Commissioner Dunn. Do we have any discussion? All right, seeing none, then I will call for a roll call vote from Mr. Gurman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Zhang,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayo,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Colling,
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter,
Yes.
5-0.
The motion passes unanimously. Good luck with your project. I hope it goes well for you all down there. It's an exciting project for you all. All right. So, do we have any old business? Or any miscellaneous business? Mr. Gurman, do we know when the next meeting is? All right.
I don't have that. Mr. McConnell, do you have that?
Both the meeting for March 26th and April 9th has been canceled, and we have not yet scheduled subsequent meetings.
Okay, so we will see you in April at sometime at the earliest. Thank you for coming, everybody, tonight. Have a wonderful evening. I declare this meeting of the Westminster Planning Commission adjourned.